everyone. David Hong here. Welcome to another episode where I speak with Asian creatives and see how we can help you be more creative in your life. Today, I speak with actor Kenny Yang. Even though we talk about deep topics such as building relationships with tough people and the hard work we have to put in order to be successful, it's a very goofy episode, I'd say. Nonetheless, I hope you all get some value out of it. And to save you any time, you can always bounce around using the timestamps I provide. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Kenny. Enjoy. Kenny, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Kenny, what brought you into acting?
It's actually a really funny story. I initially never wanted to go into acting. Funny enough.
What?
Yeah, I was a straight edge Asian where I was like I have to become like a doctor or a lawyer or something honorable to my family because I was always the super strict one in my family. My family was always supportive of me where if I got a
You're
B.
saying you're not already a doctor, Kenny?
No, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not the next Ken John. But I don't have a PhD in nothing right now. Um, but it's it's like I was always strict on myself, where I was the one who beat myself up if I got like a B on a test. My parents are like, "Oh, why you got a B? That's impressive." For me, I'm like, "Oh man, I could do better. I need to always do better." Um, and uh, Becoming an actor was sort of a choice I saw or after seeing the faces of people that I have influenced. I worked again, bringing up. I worked at this camp, this Cub Scout camp, and there we do themes, we do skits, we do little shows, sort of like theater plays, where for the theme we have this character and we're acting at this character. We're embodying this persona during the whole entire summer, and people believe it. Like for example, I have been for this sort of like Indiana Jones style theme. My name was very very ashamed of it now, but tall square.
Hmm.
And I see the confused look in your face, but if you guys are Indiana Jones fans out there, it's the opposite of short round.
Okay, I have to admit I have not watched Indiana Jones, so I'm probably not getting the
Okay.
reference.
Okay, so there is this Asian boy in one of the Indiana Jones film, and his name was
Mm.
Short Round, and he's always like "Okie dokie, Doctor Jones, okie okily dokily," and he's always like this really like funny persona, and so for this Indiana Jones style theme, I decided to go with Tall Square because I didn't want to rip off Short Round. I wanted to create my own character, so I went with Tall Square. And oh, I guess that's my dog disagreeing with me right now. He's like, "No, that's not right, man. That's not right." I've always had this funny humor that the kids would love, but the adults would love even more because they would get the references like Chong Wang. We had one for the Wild West was Chong Wang, and they're always thinking like, I see what you did there. You made John Wayne, but Asian, and of course they were all laughing their butts off, and they were all talking about this, and of course we can't talk about this in front of the kids because it's still very much an inappropriate topic to talk about at age 7 or 8, where you're like, oh my gosh, and like military people, like they would give me flack for all the time, but they would make sure that I'm off this side out of the earshot of kids to make these jokes that kids should not be listening to. And well, it's from there that I did all these things, and there was this one year, the last year I worked there, where they asked a lot of the adults would ask me after a lot of the skits we do, and they would ask, "Hey, are you an actor?" And I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, "No, I'm not." And they always ask, "Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever pursued doing it, or a comedian?" And I went, "No, I've never thought about it. I've always wanted to do this off on the side, where working in this camp as a camp counselor, but pursuing a degree in business, to be financially stable, to have that future for like my future kids or my future wife, or like thinking ahead financially." That was me at the time, and now I'm just like, "What's money? I don't have money." But yeah,
How old were you at the
And they
time?
would at the time that year I was 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. Um, and 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 I never thought about it. And they all convinced. Well, they didn't convince me. The adults not convinced me. The adults asked me the question, but what convinced me was I had this letter. It's somewhere in my room right now, but I have this letter from this kid. His name's Oliver Cobb, sweetest kid I've ever known, and he sends me this letter. Like, I'm not talking about email. I'm not talking about Facebook message. I'm not talking about he found me on Instagram or something like that. I'm talking about he sent me this paper written in pencil with a photo mail to the camp where I read it, and I was overjoyed. I was crying a little bit. Like, this was so emotional. I was like, this is so cool. And it was at that moment I decided I want to become an actor, not because I want to become famous or become rich. I want to become an actor so I can do things to put smiles on other people's faces. And then I brought this up with the talent agency I was in part of when I was in Seattle. I told them, "Hey, I want to become an actor." And like, "Well, you have a great look, you have a great age range look. Why do you want to become an actor?" And I've never felt such like a serious, intimidating tone from someone asking such a question seriously. Everything else was, "Hey, like, how old are you? You know, you're very chummy. We're talking, we're having fun." And then all of a sudden, they look at me with this dead eye look. "Why do you want to become an actor?" And I told them my story, and they're like, "I love it. You're on. Like, stay close to the ideal." But then a year into working as an actor for Seattle Talent, I get brought in. After doing this event called IMTA, I got brought in to the office with this lovely guy named Michael, and he told me that um, I don't need to become famous. I don't need to become rich on the behalf of those kids that I keep bringing up. Because, and it was very eye opening because I was super naive back then. Um, what you are doing now, what you did at that camp, they already look up to you. They already see you as their role model. And that really was a huge like eye-opening experience for me where I'm like, you're right. So I want to push this further. I want to push this further and be a better role model, be a better person to other people, not just to those kids. Um, so that's what really pushed me into become an actor, to doing this business, this really hard business. Like, it's 95% of your auditions are you being ghosted and never hearing from them again, and the 5% is you actually get casted. So it's crazy to think about, like, back then and now, where I can actually push myself as an actor because I want to become famous for my own personal gain. I want to become famous to be well known. So that way, again, like I brought up earlier, the 2 seconds I spend on the street taking a photo of someone else means nothing, may not mean as much to me, but it means a whole lot to that other person. If I become financially well, like if I become rich off of movies or something, I want to give back into the community. I want to be able to start programs where Asian actors can be more well known, like be better represented on screen, but also like actors who really don't know what they're getting themselves into, to be able to financially support themselves and be out there and working on what they like to do, which is acting. If they chose to become an actor, then they will need the support. You know, a lot of actors sometimes don't get support. A lot of actors will be like, "Hey, you shouldn't do this. This is a risky job, or this is not worth your time, or you shouldn't do this because this is not what I, the parent, want you to do." But if it's something they want to do, then that's why we network. That's why we connect. That's why we become friends with each other, is to help support each other as well.
Kenny, that is such a refreshing story to hear. And I love hearing it every time because it motivates me. I'm just like, wow, like that's so inspiring. And I feel like for the listeners, like I'm no like wise sage or expert in the field, but I feel like this is just the proper way to go about things in terms of our life, our career. Like from what I hear with Kenny is that Kenny, you're on this mission, but it's really not for yourself. Like you definitively know that it's for the greater good, it's for a higher mission, a higher purpose. Your vision is to be successful in order to give back, in order to inspire and touch the lives around you. And people in the entertainment industry, maybe they just haven't really thought that very deeply or really reflected on their own story, but there isn't that kind of same mission or drive where and in contrast they're more like, oh, they want to just get rich and famous because they're afraid to be alone. They want to make money because they want to live a fancy life. Now, I guess, what are your thoughts with those people? And because I'm curious how that contributes to how you work alongside them, because you're not going to be working alongside these other people who are super altruistic like yourself, but more so on the opposite end. So yeah, I'm curious on where your mind goes in that space.
Yeah, I absolutely hate those type of people. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Um, for people like those, that's what they want. They know what they want, and it's not my right to tell them no. If that's what they are pushing for, then that's what they are pushing for. Like, it's funny that you brought that, bring this up, because I know people on both sides. I've known actors who are very kind and have the same ideals as me, but I also know other actors who are very blunt, and they have told me straight up, like, I want to become an actor because I want to be on the big screen. I want to be famous. And that's what that person wants. So why not support? Why not be there with them? The only thing that I at least try to fix, that, it's not my right to fix someone else's personality, but that I just try to prevent, is how they act. Um, and by that I mean, like, if I'm on a film set, like, the people that we work with, they are normal humans just like us. There are other people who are working a job, and just because we're actors, there's something in the industry that's above the line and below the line. And above the line, like, we get paid a lot of money per hour, or a salary, a contract salary. Now, below the line is a lot of crew people like makeup artists, like grips, like G&E, the gaffers, the cinematographers, the directors of photography, um, that get paid less by the hour. And, you know, in my opinion, it's a lot like working the fast food industry. I'm not gonna lie, they don't get paid enough to deal with the BS that we bring, so we shouldn't give them any BS at all. That is why I said that if you're wanting to pursue a career in acting, research into what the production does, not just an actor. What the production does, be able to have this thought and a realization of what they do to make you look good on the screen. Because it's not just you. Your acting is great and all, but if you're getting put at a really bad angle on the camera, or a bad lighting job, then they can't really see you act at all. So for those type of people, the only thing I try to mitigate is bad behavior. Uh, I don't go telling them, hey, you don't have to be such an entitled, you know, piece of shit.
Hmm.
I try to smooth things out with other people. I check in. Like, I've had this set where a bunch of extras, they were all neglected. We're outside. It was an outside shoot, and they were outside and they were freezing their butts off. And I sort of stepped in. I was like, hey, and at the time I was working production. I stepped in. I was like, hey, listen, this is a green room for you. Please stay in here, warm up. I had to sort of like pull up my car to make sure the main actress was sitting in my car with like the full heat up because she was freezing. She was freezing. She was literally telling the people there that she was freezing, and nobody was doing anything about it. So I pulled up my car. She sat in my car to warm up, and it's like, it's that sort of like sense. Like I don't want like people to have bad taste with each other. Like someone did walk out on that set also. A production person walked out because he was so fed up with some stuff that happened on set. But it's like, it's a job is a job. You should always commit to it, and if you sign up for it, you should know that you sign yourself up for it, and you should do it. But you shouldn't give other people bad attitude because something's going wrong, or you guys are behind schedule by 20 minutes or something. Uh, find a way to find a solution rather than having a shouting match with each other. That's the only thing I would say is my biggest like issue with people is how they treat other people. Like no one's gonna hire an actor that's who's great in acting, but a complete a hole on set. And the only reasons like a lot of what we see right now is we always read about like Hollywood horror stories where this actor was supposedly, I don't know if they were or not because again it's just something we read online, complete a hole on set or a complete a hole in person. Now I don't know that, but if they were, then realistically, if you're not as well known as that person, you're not going to get hired ever again. You're never going to get hired by the same person. You're not never going to get hired by people they know because they're going to pass on like, hey, this person's great acting, but he's high maintenance. He's high maintenance or something like that. Um, so it's more of, I wish for people to get along better. I wish for people to be kind to each other. I wish for a better sort of working environment rather than something that we are filled by our own ego. And I'm guilty of it too. Like I have definitely been on sets where I'm like, oh my god, I feel so entitled here. But I always have a friend. I've always had a person there uh, who I know who's like, hey, listen, if I get out of hand, realistically, I want you to slap the shit out of me because I want you to bring me back to reality, back to my ideals, back to what I did this for, not for commanding people around and being the Mr. Hotshot of a set. I want to be the guy who can work with other people and be as a equal.
Kenny, I give you full permission to call me out if I get big headed as well. You're so right. Like we forget is, and I am totally aware of that. Our ego will kind of just take over at one point. So yeah, please, Kenny, put me on my spot like whenever.
I will make sure to drive up all the way from San Diego just to slap some sense into you. But like, yeah, no, like I have my own group of friends that I've met through this event called MTA, and they're all I'm all still in good contacts with them, and we made this promise to each other that if we ever become that guy, that person, that we would as a group just like intervention come swarm like security guards are no problem for us and waving our arms like around like pushing out guys that are like three times bigger than us, like, move, we got beef with this guy. And we go like, hey, you,
We just gotta
stop
slap
it.
him.
Yeah, slap him. Stop it.
Dude, that's so awesome. I definitely need a group of people like that. That like that is so refreshing to hear. Uh, is just like a you and your like old group of friends, or like people from the acting industry?
I mean, these people that I mentioned, they're from the acting industry, or one
Mm.
person is now, the other person pursued a different career. But just because he pursued a different career, I didn't go up to him like, hey, why aren't you acting anymore? I sort of like, hey, is acting something you still want to do? I brought it as a question. Nothing to push, nothing to force. I want to know what his passion is, and he's like, oh, I'm not that much into acting as much anymore. I like what I'm doing now. I love what I'm doing now, and he's doing great things right now. He's working for this fine arts person, and I don't know if I can name drop him or anything like that. Um, I guess I can. Oh, if you'll probably edit out if I do. Win Slavin. He's a great guy. Daniel Winslavin. He's a great guy. I've met him a couple times. He's invited me to some stuff, and all around, like he enjoys working for this guy. He loves what he's doing. Then why am I the person to tell him no? He should go back to acting. If he enjoys what he's doing, then again, we don't have you don't have to be an actor to support others. If they want to do something they want to do, you should be supportive as well. So I support him, and I'm like, that sounds great. That looks amazing, and I'm happy for you. That's all I could put out.
I think we all need a Kenny in our lives.
There's plenty of people like me out there. There's many people that are very kind-hearted out there.
Kenny, you gotta like clone yourself. Come on.
I'm not that smart. I can't clone myself yet. Wait, what? Uh,
You
yeah.
said yet. That was a
Yeah.
magic word. Yet.
Yet, the magic word.
Okay, so if people want to start getting into acting right now, what kind of suggestions would you give? Like, if you were to go back, what would you do differently? Especially like in this current pandemic stage we're at.
Don't. I'm totally kidding. If you want to pursue acting, it's something that you shouldn't take lightly. That's the really big one I could give is you need to be able to be committed to what you want to do. I feel like that also applies to anything, whether you want to work as a bioengineer or an astronaut for NASA or um, really wanting to work as a burger flipper at McDonald's. Like if you're committed to it, then you can do it. And yes, it's a lot of coaches that I've been through have told me sort of the same thing is it's a lot of talent, a lot of hard work, and sometimes a little bit of luck. And it really is an industry where it's sort of like the people you know. And it's not necessarily the people you know that help you become famous. It's the people that you know that'll help you improve yourself as an actor, help you be able to act well, and help you be able to get yourself out there. And for that is my biggest advice is always do your research. And I'm not just saying research into what an actor's life is like or how an actor should act, but also what a production means, what a production does. Like for me, I don't just do acting; I do some production work as well off to the side. Actually, I'm being flown up to Seattle next month to work on a production, not as an actor, but as a producer. So it's learning about the terminology in the industry as well as what everyone does. So you have one a bigger appreciation for those people who do the work, and two, be able to improve yourself and know how to set up yourself in front of these people and in front of your so-called frame.
I totally agree because me as a fitness coach, I'm always trying to find other coaches so I know what it's like being on the client side. So, okay, like this is if my coach says this is the type of reaction I'm getting with my body, or this is what I'm thinking about. So I feel like it's the same thing when an actor kind of goes into the nuances and the details of like the production, the what these other crew members are going through. They have a better overall picture of how they're being presented and what their role is. So it's kind of just like working alongside in a like a bee in a beehive. Like you're not going solo.
Yeah, no, it's totally like that. I mean, a lot of the misconception with acting is yes, it's a very competitive job, but it doesn't mean that everyone is your enemy in a sense. Like I met you as a fellow actor. I'm not gonna look at you and be like, oh my gosh, he's another actor. He's another person I have to compete with.
Oh,
That's
that's
just
sweet.
gonna yeah.
I was thinking of you as my competitor, Kenny. No,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I mean, like, but a great example of that is I brought you into Swanbeck's class.
Yeah.
I
Uh huh.
remember I introduced you to Swanbeck and his little actors training sort of routine for his directors, and from there it's like I may not be a good fit for a certain amounts of actors out there, but maybe you are a better fit for those actors to work with. And
Hmm.
it's again where we're in this industry together. We're not just being competitive like enemies, but we're also here to sort of support and help each other. I hear success stories and audition fail stories from actor friends all the time, and I'm there to sort of support them. I'm not be like, hey, I know you just failed this audition. I just signed on with this audition, or I just signed on with this job. It's I'm not, it's great to have your own sort of sense of success, but it's also great to support others so that way you guys can work together in the future as well.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate you so much, Kenny. And this is just for information for the audience. Kenny is someone who I met at certain, a couple networking events. And the reason why I really respect him is because of how generous and open he is in terms of helping people out. He does not give off this vibe of like, oh, like it's a zero sum game. Like it's competition. Like you said, it's like I asked Kenny if there was any classes, any teachers he recommends. He gave out like a list. He even like sent me personally sent like the email addresses of these teachers, these coaches. Like he went the extra mile. So therefore, like I was just like, wow, Kenny is just like an awesome dude. Like it makes me as just like a human being want to reciprocate those kind actions back to Kenny. So I feel like if anyone who is in any industry, it doesn't even have to be acting, any creative field, any field outside of the creative or entertainment industry. Like if I think as long as you're willing to play that long game, it's important to kind of exude that kindness first, and then you'll be surprised at how how much it'll be returned back to you. So yeah, that's just information for the audience. So Kenny, going back to the commitment part, you really want to be committed, and this is for any occupation or career, like you said. What did that look like to you, or what does that look like to you right now? Like what you can you illustrate like a picture for people, like what does being committed look like?
It's very funny that you bring that up because at this point in my life, I also feel like I'm very lackluster in my commitment, where I have been very lazy. But at the same time, I've also been trying to pursue new projects. Commitment for me looks like all sorts of different things. I am committed in being an actor, meaning I train in acting classes. I go to acting classes. I work at home creating this character. I write things in my notebook. I have this notebook that has all my years of film school in it, but also the continued notes from coaches, the continued notes from just like meeting other actors or networking events. Because whatever little information I can gather, I can add on to my own career to improve myself and to really push forward and to become a better actor. And also commitment just also seems like how hard you're willing to put yourself into this work. I currently live down in San Diego, and I don't know if you know that, but I currently live down in
I
San
did not.
Diego, meaning I have to drive all the way up to LA for any type of job. So as little as a networking event, I have driven all the way up to LA just to go to networking event. Just go to the networking event to connect with other
Wow.
people and then drive back again that following night. So I drive up 3 hours because I decided to drive at 4, which is the worst time to drive in California. Um, and and there's traffic up the wazoo on in LA, and it's like from San Diego to the outskirts of LA, it takes me 1.5 hours. But as soon as I hit the Irvine area or the lower part of LA to get to where I need to go, which is the north part of LA, it takes me 2 hours just because
Oh
traffic is
my
that bad.
gosh.
So I drive 3 hours up and then 2 hours down because I drive in the middle of the night where there's really no one there. So that's 5 hours driving for what, a 2 hour networking event. So that for me is commitment. That for me is really pushing myself to really work on what I want to do, work on my craft, working on connections and stuff like that. But also, I've had some gigs where it starts at the early AMs in the morning. So then I
Oh
had to drive up
what?
from San Diego at 6 a.m. just to get to set at 8 a.m. And then I would finish at like 3, 4 p.m. and then drive all the way back. So I work on a long set, then drive all the way back down to San Diego. So for me, that's my commitment. My commitment is the hard work, the days of tireless driving that I have to do, And yeah, that's
Kenny, I did
yeah.
not know that about you. Now, on a personal note, how come like you like don't live in LA? Like did you like try looking for a place? Is there something like preventing you from wanting to move out?
Well, at the time this podcast is being recorded right now, I am currently looking for an apartment to move back into LA, but I sort of moved down to San Diego for family reasons. Because
Ah, okay.
COVID is hard for everyone. COVID sort of hit for everyone, and my family went through some things during that time as well, where I'm here to help them, support them, and sort of do whatever I can in the family to make things easier here, and then I would move back to LA.
That's very admirable. Especially when your career is on the line somewhat. Your career is pretty much based in LA. There's not a lot of remote work unless it's like practicing with coworkers. So you have to be, yeah, driving up often. Okay. In terms of what you said, going back, researching the production. Now, is that something you did for like agents and managers too? Like like the people who are you currently with? Like, is that something you extensively, thoroughly researched before you kind of like, okay, I want to be a part of them?
Y- yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no is because it's sort of a weird point with agents and managers because yes, you can research them, you research what you know about them, but for agencies and managers, it's sort of your relationship with them. And it's the same thing with what I said mentioned earlier. You know, like you may work better with some of the directors I know, but I don't work well with them. It's all about sort of synergy. So if I have a manager and I love her ideals, she wants a hard like this manager I met. She wants a hardworking individual who's always ready and open and flexible and ready to submit work in as soon as possible. I'm like that's totally me. But maybe her attitude on things isn't the same way that that matches me. Then of course I'm like, yeah, no, I love her ideals, but maybe we don't work out. It's funny because my friends tell me uh, finding a manager or finding an agency is a lot like dating. Um, and I guess like dating apps too, where you are going online to their website to check them out and then decide if you want to swipe right and see if you can get their attention or not. And that's what it is. As actors, like we have to, we're not just going there, we're not going there expecting that they want us. We're going there to see if we can entice them to wanting us. So I'm going to an agency to give them what I got, to show them my resume, to show them my skills, to connect with them verbally, because it all three matters. If they see a resume, are like, oh, you're starting off, or you have some great credits, or oh, I actually know this video or production that you worked in, then they're going to be like, great, that's a plus. If they like your audition, or maybe they don't, like, hey, listen, I love your audition, but we already have another guy that's exactly like you. Then what, tough luck. Then that's the hardship of it. Or third, like if you really get along with the person, they might just hire you on for that. Like I've had a production where like, hey, listen, I love you. I love the work you do, like the hard work you put in, the commitment you put in, and I love your attitude. I love your on-set attitude. I would like you on this film. And of course, I did a film for him, and it's like that's how you can also connect with agencies and managers. Is you have to be able to connect with them because there's only so much you can do if you are on sort of a bad sort of like grudge or bad taste moment with your agency or with your manager, because they help you, agencies and managers help you find jobs as well as help you negotiate those contracts and stuff like that. That's what they do. But looking for jobs is entirely also up to you as an actor. Like just because you're part of an agency doesn't mean you should be expecting the agency to always give you a job. You should always be looking for a job yourself. Um, and the representation is there to help sort of protect you, to help you negotiate your contract, and stuff like that. And in the long run, like you don't just need an agency or a manager, you need a team. You need someone for PR, you need your business manager, you need your or accountant, which is on top of business manager, I guess. You need an entertainment lawyer. You need a team. You need a team to support you, and you can sort of support them as well. Because they're hiring on a lot of a lot of it is commission based work. So if you get a job, they get 20% of your cut. That's how they get paid. So they're investing their time into you. So yeah, so it's a lot of that. Um, and it also applies to just like other work too. Like you're not gonna work well, for example, um, a random. I can't. Why am I not Burger King? Burger King. I could not think of a restaurant or like a place. Like if you don't get along with the manager there, but you work fine, like you work well, like of course that's gonna have some issues at the workplace. Um, so if that's the case, then you might get fired because the manager just doesn't like you. It's a
Ugh.
lot like that. You have to have a good relationship between you and the other person you're working with. So that's why a lot of times, I don't see people like, oh, if I am represented by agency or if I get with the manager, I'm not saying, hey, they are under me. I am the puppet master that controls them. I want them to send me jobs. Why aren't you getting me jobs? I'm not giving them flack for that. I'm seeing them as the equal. I'm seeing them as, hey, what can we do to get me more work? What can we do to sort of like improve ourselves, our relationship? If we are at a stale point where we really can't do much than what we can right now, then maybe it's time for me to look for a different manager or time for me to look for a different agency. And it's not like I hate the person. It's just saying like I want to I want more. I want to be able to put myself out more. So I want to find someone who can follow my ideals and work with me to push myself out there to get my name out.
Yeah, it's a reminder that the responsibility 100% falls on us. And if things seems to feel a little off, if you feel like you can put more, like you said, is kind of taking that ownership in terms of going out and meeting the right people if the current people are not currently right. I want to go into the rapid fire questions. Are you ready,
All
Kenny?
right. Hit me with it.
What is an unusual habit or something absurd that you love about yourself?
Uh love I love eating like weird food, like game meat. Like I love trying out new things. Like I've tried out frog, I've eaten alligator or crocodile. When I was in Florida, I've eaten I think I've eaten a quail, a rabbit, a small bird. Like it's like traveling around and trying out like different culinary dishes from other places. It's I think it's always fun. Um, I've eaten a bug once.
What?
Ooh, yeah, no, it was I did this Fear Factor thing when I was in Florida's Universal Studios. And I was on the Fear Factor as one of the things, and we had to drink this concoction smoothie, which was like bugs and like I don't know, like goat milk or something like that, some liquid. Unfair, by the way. The other person got the smoother milkshake. I got like the chunkier one with all the bugs pieces like still in there. I'm like, how am I supposed to finish this faster than the other person? Like
No.
I'm trying to chug, but at the same time I'm chewing. I'm seeing the other person and she's like just drinking it. I'm like, you're drinking it. I had to chew mine. Like, how's this fair? But yeah. Unusual habits. I have this weird habit, and I don't know if it's just me out there, but when I drive, I absolutely cannot. I'm like stripping in my car, which is weird. I cannot wear a jacket while I'm driving.
Is it just because it's hot?
Oh, I mean it's hot and it's just like I feel like it's uncomfortable. Like I don't have my arm movements. I can't hold the steering wheel right. Like so every time uh I was, you know, driving up or getting in my car and I have a jacket on, I sit in my car and I do the whole entire thing where I put my seatbelt on. But then I realize as soon as I reach for the wheel, I have my jacket on. So I unbuckle my seatbelt, I take my jacket off, I throw it in the back seat, and then I forget about it and then continue driving. It's
Interesting.
yeah, that's my weird unusual habit.
Well, I'm gonna think of it as Kenny is the safest driver out there, just because He has much mobility in his arms.
Much mobility in his arm.
Okay, if it was only your ad playing before people can skip on YouTube, what words would you have it say?
See, I did see this one, and actually, that was like a shower thought. When I was showering, I was like thinking about this question because it was so like out there. I was like, wow, this is such like an interesting question. Um, and I thought I was like, oh, I want to do some like very good PR. Really, I'm like, oh, like have kindness in your heart. I'm like, nah, forget that. If it's my own personal ad, I want it to be silly. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? If you're seeing this ad, run, and it's like music, bum 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 bum, and sort of like it's like run or something like something really silly, something like we're like, what am I watching? Is this an advert? Like, what is this? Um, it's like,
So
hey,
something
did you
playful, something
know?
lighthearted.
Yeah, it's just something random. Like, hey, have you seen this video of a cute puppy licking some windows? Well, now you have. Bye. Just something random, something silly, because it's. I just like to see people smile, so I assume that'll make someone smile out there.
Well, you definitely had the most unique response out of all the all the guests.
My shower thoughts, the weird thoughts that go into my head in the shower. Uh,
Like we all. Okay, what is the best purchase or investment you made for yourself in the last year?
hmm, the best purchase, huh? Let's see. I bought a camera. I bought lights. I bought. I would say everything I purchased relating to acting. Meaning the lights that I have, the backdrop that I have, the camera that I have to make myself look better than the phone camera. Although phone cameras are actually really good now.
Mhm.
But like I would say those are the best purchases I've made.
Were you reluctant before you made those purchases, or it
Oh,
was like you? It
definitely.
was a hell
Oh,
yes.
definitely.
Okay.
I had Amazon open on one tab and my bank open on the other. Going, do I have the money? Do I have like how many weeks of ramen noodles do I need to eat to purchase this?
Oh god.
um yeah, no, everything I buy is super cheap now too. Like even this microphone I'm using for this podcast, it's like it's a podcast mic. It's a Fifine mic that's like $35 on Amazon. Rather than like my friend who I'm you've met him, right? Theodore at the event. Um
Probably.
he's a voice actor. So I went to him. I actually knew him from someone else. And I was like he was like suggesting me mics. I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, this is great. Like I want to get into voice acting more." He shows me mics like these are great. They're cheap too. And I look at him, I'm like, "They're $300, buddy."
Mm.
I bought this one for $30. I'm not that rich. I don't have a solid income of acting jobs. I have maybe you'll get $1. But yeah. I think the most guilty pleasure thing I've bought is that I spoiled myself with is I bought I like to airsoft.
Mm.
I like to airsoft my friends. They got me into it. So I officially bought an airsoft gun. I saved up, bought one for this event I'm going to like in I think next week or something like that. And yeah, no, I felt my wallet crying after that purchase though. I was $300 and my wallet was like, why do you do this to me? I'm like, well, you know what? I wanted you to feel lighter. You need to lose weight, I guess. I don't know.
Have you used it yet, or the first time will be next week?
First time will be next week, but I did already test it at like the airsoft firing range with air quotes, heavy air quotes. But yeah, no, I tried it out. It's fun.
I predict it's gonna be a glorious day when you use it.
You're gonna see some short little kid with like camo gear that's too big to fit on me, running around with his arms wailing in the air, like please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, I'll shoot you, but please don't shoot me.
Kenny, how tall
Just
are you
trying to
again? I
get around.
forget.
I'm 5'7". I'm not that short. I'm
Five
pretty
seven.
average. Yeah, but it's funny. Well, at those events though, it's definitely interesting because they're all very tall compared to me. Like I'm like looking up at them, like wow, how are the clouds? Yeah, sort of deal.
Yeah, I remember seeing some at those networking events. I remember like everyone being like 6 foot and over. I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Like, am I an event with models? Like, is this a
Yeah, no,
modeling
they were
event?
tall. They were tall.
We will make up the lack of height with our
Our
hard
sense
work,
of humor. And
our sense of
yeah,
humor.
our sense of humor and hard work. Yeah, that one. That's important.
Okay, next question. What is the best feedback you got in improving your craft as an actor?
I think the best one I've gotten was recently was stop beating up yourself. And this is when I brought up to my coach that I was hitting my actor's wall. And I was like, I hit this point where I just don't know how I can improve. I feel like I'm not making any leeway in my improvements or my progress. And she goes, stop beating up yourself. We all hit it sometimes. We all hit the wall eventually. We all hit it multiple times. Stop beating up yourself. You like something she's pointing out is like I beat myself up too hard. And because of that, it holds myself back. So I think that's like the best, like the biggest advice I've ever gotten from someone.
Okay, last question. What are you grateful for, Kenny?
Um, my parents. I'm grateful for my parents. Grateful for a lot of the people I've met, because they helped shaped me who I am today, and they are all my role models, um, in one way or the other. You know, one could be physically, one could be emotionally, one could be idealistically, like just how I see myself, or you know, people's influence, you know, the way you act, you may not realize it can rub off on other people, whether you know it or not. Um, and that's definitely what keeps me was like that's what keeps me grateful for this day is the other people, the people I've met, the people that have supported me, and just the people that I wish to give back to.
Well, you got another supporter here, Kenny. We're glad to have you. Now, Kenny, if people want to find you and if you got any exciting work that you want to share,
Yeah, so my
what is it?
OnlyFans is I sell feet pics for 25 cents a piece. Guys, I'm broke, please. No.
That's cheap.
That's cheap. No, you can find me on Instagram. It's Kenny J Yang, so KennyJyang. And feel free to say hi. I'm always like I said, 2 seconds of my time is nothing when I can talk with someone else or someone new. So shoot me a message on there, and trust me, I will always reply. I've gotten several messages where they're like, "Oh my god, you actually replied to me." I'm like, "Well, of course I did. You are someone who supports me. Why would I not reply to you? You are a friend." So yeah,
Wow, there you have it. Kenny, thank you for being on the show.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and for everyone who's listening, who's tuning in, thank you for joining, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button, subscribe, and click on that notification bell. It would really mean a lot because it would help the algorithm push these types of videos to the right people. And if you do like this video, comment down below who would you like to see on as a guest. All right, hope you all stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.